Hello again, everyone. Mark Hackle, Macomb County Executive, and Deputy John Paul Ray. I'm just giving you a quick update on things that are going on here in and around Macomb County. We got Manufacturing Day coming up this Friday, and here in Macomb County, again, we lead manufacturing in the country. Actually, that was a study that came out of the White House not too long ago where they indicated just before COVID, Macomb County was the #1 county in the entire country when it came to new jobs in manufacturing. A little bit of a slowdown because of things that are happening, many things, not just COVID, the chip crisis or the chip issues, but even employing people. I think they're having a hard time making connections with people that want good jobs, good paying jobs. But this Friday, we connect with the kids from the various high schools. All the high schools participate from the ISD program. Our planning department, Vicki, has done an incredible job with her team trying to get into some of these manufacturing facilities to showcase what they do to see if there's an interest in maybe connecting kids with job opportunities in the future. So we're excited. That's happening this Friday where we celebrate manufacturing, especially here in Macomb County.
Mark, one of the largest celebrations for Manufacturing Day in the entire country happens in Macomb County the first Friday in October every single year. We're fueling the talent pipeline. We're connecting with our 1,600 manufacturing companies throughout the county, and we're showing the 130,000 kids that are in our K-12 system that there are future-focused careers right here in Macomb County.
Yeah, so on that note, we're excited. We also have coming up this week, we're going to be presenting the budget to the board, and they're going to have a chance now to review it and make a determination what's going on. We've been fortunate over the years. Again, financially sound budget year after year. Again, none of the gimmicks are played into this. Again, structurally sound budgets year after year, and we get some accolades coming from those that do the auditing of it. And I think even that partnership we've had with the board over the years, boy, another good outlook for us here in Macomb County. We're going to be releasing that shortly. Talk a little bit more about it as soon as the board gets it handed off to them. They study it, and then they vote on whether or not to support the budget. So again, great working relationship we've had with the board, our county-wides, our various departments adding into this, and again, a very sound budget, and even adding to the surplus this year, which is always a good story.
Mark, it's interesting because a lot of the conversations with regards to municipal financing always start with COVID right now. What's COVID going to do? How's COVID going to impact it? As you highlighted, the sound budget practices that we've had for over 10 years has not only been able to sustain those challenges, but with the insight that we have from our directors, obviously the countywide elected officials, and now being able to propose this budget to the Board of Commissioners, it seems like a layup. All those things that are in there as far as resources of the fund balance, ability to engage, more service providers for the county. These are great steps that we take, and again, it's because of the sound financial practices out there and the vision that comes out of the executive's office too.
Yeah, and credit to our finance department, Steve Smeagol and his team. They've done a great job of kind of navigating through this crisis we had, and we once thought that there was going to be a problem for many budgets, municipal budgets, county budgets, and even state budget. We come to find out that that's really not necessarily the case, and so we know we did have some fortunate opportunity when it came to the CARES funding to support municipalities, schools, and some of the things we needed to do to get through the actual COVID crisis. But with that, we also got money that's coming our way. In fact, we got our first allotment of the ARP funding.
Yes, sir.
And again, that's very specific on various projects that we can work on. And we are going to focus our attention on some of the capital projects. Our budget, as sound as it is, also adds to making sure we have funding for some of the capital improvements that are our responsibility as county government. But we also know there's opportunities out there moving forward where we're going to earmark some of that money, and we're working with the board on that, trying to get a couple studies done when it comes to the jail. I mean, a huge ticket item. Once we're trying to figure out should we go out for a millage for the jail, and come to realize that was a big ask for the public. And not too many people are excited about building a new jail, but unfortunately we have to do something. And that's something I think we're looking at is going to be the central intake and assessment, dealing with people that are coming in contact with law enforcement. This, I think, will set the tone for law enforcement agencies around the country, especially when somebody comes in contact with an individual that may have violated the law, and bringing them on into an institution where we can look at them and say, substance abuse, mental health, what are the real issues here, and how do we assess this moving forward with the courts, with the prosecutor's office, and law enforcement. I think we have a great opportunity here to lead the country in something that some of this funding is going to help us with. And I just had some conversations with the Attorney General, Dana Nessel, today, and we know there's money coming from the opioid settlement that came our way, and we're trying to figure out can some of that money be used for a project such as this, and help with some of the mental health services, substance abuse services that may intertwine, and we know those service providers are out there. So we're excited about where we're headed with infrastructure here in Macomb County, and we know the health department, which is an area of interest to you, the great work they do. In fact, I can't help but say it once again, during this crisis, they actually got an accolade because they went through this national accreditation and were accredited. So one of very few health departments in the state of Michigan that has such an accreditation. but credit to Andrew Cox and even former director there, Bill Rodella, and his team getting that accreditation. But we know there's a lot more we can do, and we want to create a facility here in Macomb County with some of those funds for that purpose.
Mark, when we look at the whole notion of all these funding mechanisms that are coming into focus here, whether it's the ARP funds, whether it's an opioid settlement, whether it's the $7 billion they're talking about the state as far as enhanced revenue and everything, our county is at the forefront of not only these conversations with policymakers, with program leads, and with service providers to understand how we can make a competitive ask for what the county needs. So as you said, whether it's a model that's looking at emerging trends in criminal justice reform, whether it's looking at a 21st century focused health department that's focused more on client advocacy and a full triage of services, whether it's us going to the legislator, getting more infrastructure dollars to come back to the additional infrastructure funds that may be coming in from the feds. These are plans, strategies where we already have ideas in play, but most importantly, we can deliver on those projects with the great folks that we got working for us day in, day out.
In those two projects, the Health Department and Community Services, trying to figure out what kind of facilities can be created to better serve the public here throughout the entire county, and then obviously the central intake to deal with anyone who comes in contact with law enforcement, are responsibilities of the county government. And knowing we have these funds available, these are transformational projects, and we've got a good working relationship with the board. We're doing some RFPs and studies on that to figure out what those costs might be and how do we do that. But I got to tell you, we've got no greater partner when it comes to infrastructure issues that, again, impact the entire county than with our Public Works Commissioner, Candace Miller. In fact, we were just earlier today having a conversation with her, and Brian Baker, who happens to be our representative on the Great Lakes Water Authority, does an incredible job of keeping, holding their feet to the fire and making sure they're being responsible and holding them accountable for some of the challenges. But with Candace, she always has first at mind is trying to figure out how do we deal with infrastructure that deals with the underground, not just a 15-mile sinkhole, but all the other concerns with its Chappington, making sure we're not releasing or discharging if not necessary, and keeping our water clean. But money is going to be coming our way from that second round of funding. We got the first round coming in with the ARP to deal with that. And again, that's the infrastructure issues on the underground. We're trying to figure out, how do we use some of the funding that we have coming our way for the above ground, meaning talking about our roads and our bridges. We're seeing a lot of construction.
Yeah.
That's good news. But there's a lot more that could be taken care of, and we're working on that right now.
Mark, I think the philosophy that we've taken about being an infrastructure network, it's just not a singular project or checking a box that we paved this road or we replaced this pipe or we fixed this basin. It's about the totality and connectivity of those and how we can take dollars that are invested through Candace's capital program and merge them with what Roads has going and the local priorities from the cities and villages, how we make those priorities with the townships and get them to understand what everyone's role is, how we can be advocates for those projects, and how we can get the necessary funding and move forward.
And I think people sometimes don't understand how that works.
Yeah.
When you talk about funding itself, there's certain responsibilities each municipality has. And the simplest way of putting it is cities and villages, they get money, and the money comes from the Act 51 funding that they are able to support their roads. But even in some of those cities and villages, there are county roads
Yes.
that we're responsible for. And we're responsible for a majority of the roads, pretty much all of them, in townships. But some people get the impression that, if the township, they don't have to deal with the roads. Well, that's not necessarily true. The way the law is written is if it is a county road, whether it's in a city, a village, a township, it is the responsibility of a local municipality to match the funding necessary to fix that road. We always hear about fixing the roads, fixing the damn roads, or however that terminology was. But the reality is, and I've said it before, fix the funding and we can fix the roads. Some local municipalities have figured this out. They do have millages, they do have special assessments that help provide that match. The county cannot come in and fix a road in its entirety 100% funding. That is not how the legislation works out. Unfortunately, there is a requirement that there be a 50% match. Whether it's a subdivision road, whether it's a county road, there has to be that match. And so, some of the townships, I think, have come to the realization they need to come up with funding. The partnerships we have, and I'll just call that out with Sterling Heights, they have a special millage for roads. And so with that, they're willing to meet us. The minute we have funding available, they can meet us halfway to fix those particular roads. Otherwise, the municipalities that don't have special assessments or special funding available for that match, they got to wait till what's called this TIP project comes in, where the federal government takes a look at the projects around the entire region or the state and identifies road projects, and unfortunately they're very limited and they're years out, because at least the federal government will come up with the 80% of the funding, where the county will come in with 10 and a local has to come in with 10% of that match as well. And again, it takes forever, and we're getting further and further behind on some of these municipalities. So, simplest way of putting it is, these locals have to come to the realization the federal government, the state, and the county does not have the funding to support a full 100% redo of a road, whether it's in a subdivision or a local road project, that it has to come from the locals a certain amount, and that's usually about a 50% match. And I don't think people really understand that part of the conversation.
Mark, it's a shared responsibility with regards to our infrastructure network. Obviously, there's the statutory provisions, which we're always going to be able to follow, the regulatory elements with regards to our Transportation Service Agency and the Department of Roads, but some of the inventive elements that we're bringing in there to bring more funding in, whether it's our ITS system, whether it's some of the advanced maintenance stuff that we're doing. These are things that Brian and the team over at the Department of Roads are putting some pretty robust strategies together that are going to better the roads in the county. But again, it's truly understanding what those commitments need to be from a municipal financing standpoint, how that impacts the outlook from our municipal partners, and then how they can key in to those funds of money there at the county level.
Yeah, and some people don't get it. I mean, it's statutory. I cannot, even if I wanted to 100% fix a particular road in a particular community that's a county road. It just doesn't happen that way. And part of that is obviously pavement preservation, where we try to, if we do fix a road, how do we make sure that it lasts longer?
Absolutely.
And some people don't realize there's a tremendous amount of funding that goes into that. It's kind of like the maintenance of your vehicle. I mean, I don't know how to simplistically put it, but as I was told as a kid growing up, you do the oil changes on your car on a regular basis, you're probably not going to have as many problems with your engine down the road. And I found that to be very true. And so with that, it's the same thing when it comes to road. If we're not putting the money into it year after year of doing the pavement preservations, filling cracks and things that are going on with the road itself, the life expectancy of that road is going to be shortened significantly. So pavement preservation, trying to figure out how do we deal with the regular upkeep and the maintenance, and bridges obviously are a concern. We know there are 3 here in Macomb County that are already out. There are some other critical bridges or issues that we have, and we try to get to them before they too have to be taken offline. We're going to be working with our legislature. There's some funding opportunities to figure out how do we advance and at least get those 3 back online as soon as we can, and fix the others before we have to take them offline as well. So we're pretty excited about that. So for more information on anything that's going on with our road projects and what we're dealing with this year, the next couple of years that are already earmarked as far as the money we have available, go to macombgov.org. You'll find the icon that deals with our roads and our road projects. Click on that. You'll be able to navigate through that very robust website that we have here in Macomb County. And again, state of the art. I don't know anybody else has as intricate of a system that we have where people can see the road projects and the problems with their roads. We understand and have identified them. Again, it's always about the funding to help support fixing those roads, and we need that local support to do that. So with that, the update on what's going on with the COVID stuff, we always kind of throw it a little bit in there. We know there's still issues out there, but for the most part, we're continuing to work with our schools, and they've been a very good partner in this. It tends to be the thing people talk about most.
Absolutely.
Albeit you see all these sports venues and everybody else is out and about and connecting and interacting. For some reason, everybody keeps wanting to say that the schools are the hotbed for some of these challenges or concerns.
Mark, we are incredibly proud of the track record that we've had with all of the K-12 districts in Macomb County since the outset of the pandemic. Working with 22 districts here in this county has given us an opportunity not only to understand how we keep all these classroom environments as safe as possible, but provide those administrators with the necessary tools and latitude to understand safety in each one of their buildings. And I think that's one of the special things that we've done through the creativity of our health department, through the intel that we're getting through our administrators, that continual back and forth. And again, I challenge anyone across the state of Michigan, if not the country, that would illustrate the connectivity that we've had with our local school districts since the outset of the pandemic and the productive outcomes that we've had to not only include student achievement, promote childhood welfare, and most importantly, ensure those school environments are as safe as possible.
And that's all the schools are asking us to say, be a partner with us, let us make our decisions and try to figure out how do we navigate through some of the challenges. And as you mentioned, I mean, on a daily basis, if you're not talking to them, I'm having conversations with them.
It's nonstop.
It's been since March 13th of 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible working relationship we've had here. And with that, even with the locals, again, none of this has been politicized. We continue to thank them for that support. But I got to tell you, Doc Lokar and Andrew Cox from our health department, fantastic job of helping, working with our local partners and even our businesses here in Macomb County. So, on that note, again, we continue to try to remind people as we continue to give you the proper information and update you on what's going on. In the meantime, continue to keep you and your family safe.